Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to please click subscribe if you enjoy these videos. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers and it means the world to me. Much appreciated. And today we're going to be talking about Nahiri's Resolve. For 3 colorless, red, white, it's an enchantment with creatures you control get +1/+0 and have haste. And at the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifacts and or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. So I really like this in a lot of different decks, honestly. It can work really well in tokens decks despite the fact that it exiles non-token artifacts and creatures, because it's going to buff your team, and also a lot of the cards that are generating tokens are doing it on ETB on creatures. So by getting to rebuy those enter the battlefield abilities and still pumping all of your tokens, it means that your opponents are going to be forced to choose to wipe all those tokens or wait and somehow respond one-on-one to those token creators, which is really good. Outside of token decks, of course, this is going to be really at home in any deck that wants to abuse enter the battlefield abilities, and that is a lot of decks these days. Being able to get your ETBs to trigger over and over every single turn is fantastic. It can even do it with artifacts, so stuff like Spine of Isha can come down and destroy a permanent every turn, which is really strong. So that's going to be a great use for this card. Giving haste and +1 attack to all your creatures would already be close enough to being playable, but when you add in everything else, this just becomes very, very strong. So not only is it going to rebuy enter the battlefield abilities, it's also going to protect your board from sorcery speed board wipes. Since you get to choose which cards you exile, you can leave behind blockers or creatures that you want to use on defense and just exile stuff that couldn't block anyway. In this way, you're basically getting the best of both worlds. You're going to be able to play defensive when you need to, but you're going to get to make the choice. You're not going to be left with no blockers if you don't want to. Because of all of this versatility, I think this fits very well in all sorts of different Boros strategies, and I think it's going to be a very powerful effect because of that. Having haste really makes the whole difference in this card, because without haste you just have a very clunky mass teleportation circle effect, which would still be nice to protect from board wipes, but would slow down your attack significantly. However, with the haste, you really get to have your cake and eat it with this. Tapping 5 mana for this is a lot, but that being said, if you smell a board wipe coming, this is a great way to preemptively avoid it by just swinging in, protecting the creatures that you need protected, and then just swinging in immediately again on the next turn when they come back in. It's very difficult for your opponents to deal with your board until they deal with this card. So it is probably going to be a bit of a magnet for removal, which is a bit sad, but at that point, hopefully you've got enough value out of this. It's certainly amazing in enter the battlefield decks. On a side note, I do like that Boros is getting these kind of more interesting cards these days. This kind of pushes you in a lot of different directions for Boros, and it does a lot of things and does it very well. So I'm very glad to see this kind of new design and hope WotC can keep it up. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care.
Woo!